Well, I was Evelyn Phelps, and I grew up on Melrose Street. And it was a very nice neighborhood, and my mother and father had 10 children, and I was the very last.
When did you work at the Adams Theater?
In 1950, during the summertime, I had just graduated from high school, from Adams Memorials High School.
What is your favorite movie that played at the Adams Theater while you worked there?
The most favorite that I saw at the theater? Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I was just a little girl and my mother took me, and it was fantastic. And I still think about it. It's funny how you get attached to things. And I still remember one night, and it was in 1950, this boyfriend I had while I was in high school, and we went to see it again, and that was a lot of years later. And I can remember coming home up on Melrose Street, and the two of us are going, "We're up to see the wizard." And I still remember that. It was a lot of fun, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. So you kind of went to the theater like all throughout your childhood and saw movies.
That was my first movie.
Wow.
That's the first time my mother ever took me. I was young, and yes, I went quite a bit. There were Friday nights and Saturday nights. Friday nights and Saturdays that everybody in high school would go to. Friday night was gang night, and that was when the older teenagers would just meet there, accidentally meet there and sit in the back seat or further down and just have a lot of fun. And that was part of it. And on Saturdays was a Western day. Now I don't know if I don't think I was in high school when that happened. I was a younger girl. In my neighborhood, we'd all go and watch on Saturdays. And we'd watch a Western and come home, and we'd go in somebody's yard and we'd act it all out again. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, how did the Adams Theater kind of like stimulate the activity in the community in downtown Adams?
Well, I don't know what we would have done without it, really. As a young person, I certainly couldn't imagine it without it back then, and I still can't. I just can't wait to see something going here again. It's wonderful that she's doing this. Mm-hmm.
So working at the theater, what kind of like friendships did you form working there?
Well, at the theater, I already was friends with my friend Joan Hamilton. Mm-hmm. And we were friends all the way through high school. And I would stop by her house with other friends one afternoon. If we didn't go to school or something, it wasn't too important to be there. It was just study or something, and we'd all get together.
Do you remember going to the theater and spending almost all day there, seeing one movie after another? And maybe, did you see newsreels?
Oh, the newsreels were really something. Even before I worked at the candy counter, I would go, like I said, we'd go Friday nights or Saturdays, and on Saturdays would be the Pathé News, and it was right after World War II. So during World War II, we saw the Pathé News, and a lot of times I would be really looking, and all the other children did too, to see if we saw our brothers or something there, you know? That was during the war. Mm.
You would have been 10 in 1942. Yeah, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So in these times of austerity, it was probably a great treat to go to the movies. How much, do you remember how much it was to go?
Oh, a quarter.
And could you stay there all day if you wanted to on your quarter?
I think you probably could. Yeah, I don't think I did. Your mom probably
She
did.
did.
Well, she lived right across the street.
So my mom told me stories how when she worked at the candy counter, she would sneak away after she was done with the shoppers working and
Yeah.
see some of the movie. But she would only see the middle of every movie. She missed the beginning and the end because she would have to be at the counter. What was it like for you working at the candy counter?
I was always kind of a social person. And Fritzy Gregoire, who was in my class, and he was the one that ripped the tickets up at when you came in to the theater. And he had a jacket too. When Emil Willett is the one that I worked for, because he was managing the theater then, and he was a crackerjack. Everything had to be just so. You had to do your job. He didn't like it when, well, unless his wife Loretta was working with me, then she would talk too, so.
He ran a tight ship.
Well, yes, he did. He ran a tight ship. Hmm. And they must have just renewed it at that time, because I can remember everybody was talking about it, how the ladies' room upstairs, and it was beautiful. They had stairs going up, a nice lounge for the girls, and the bathrooms, and it was very nice. It was really pretty, very nice. And I remembered the marquee. It was a blue glass, and off-white in between, but more blue out in the front. And I don't know why I remember it so well, but it was pretty. We had a movie playing that was Cheaper by the Dozen. It was the original one, not the one with Steve Martin, but the original one with Clifton Webb and Myrna Loy, I believe. And, well, this fella that lived in town, Ed DeGear, he had a truck. And so Emil hired him, came down, and I was Mr. and Mrs. whatever the characters were at the beginning. I don't remember the names, but I remember the movie. It was very good. And we all got in the truck, a lot of kids in the back and everything, and we rode around town with signs to advertise the movie. That was fun. That was fun. This is Dick Vinslet, and I think he had, he helped with at the theater too. I don't know whether he took tickets or not. They also had a little ticket booth right out on the sidewalk, that's where you bought your tickets, and then you had to walk in for a little ways. And they were always nice ladies that worked, and I remember that candy counter well. Slid back, we had to do it a certain way, and Emil's wife Loretta was right there to show us what to do. Yes, and here working, and I thought it was Joni, but it isn't.
She looks a little like my mom, but I think my mom took the picture.
Oh, she took the picture.
Or maybe my uncle Martin did, because he was an usher at the theater.
Yes,
He might have taken
that's
it.
right. Buddy was an usher also, and Jean Claudel, and we chummed together.
Yeah.
That's why I thought maybe it was. Of course, she looked a lot different than Martin before you knew her.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's my mom, but I'm not sure. And my mom had a great fondness for, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it, snow caps or nonpareils or whatever. She loved those from working at the theater. She might have saved all her money and bought those after work. What was your favorite candy?
Oh.
Do you remember?
I think I liked a Mars bar. I like coconut.
Yeah.
Or something with coconut in it. And so I've had a very, very full life and very wonderful. And I've had 17 grandchildren. I have 17. We've been very lucky. And I have 5 great-grandchildren, too. And I just think it's wonderful. And they still put up with me. And that's my story. And I love the town of Adams. I love being Catholic. I love being an Adamsite. I love being Mrs. Degen. Well, everybody likes Henry Fonda. I do too. Clark Gable, I liked him a lot. And today, you mean back then, or the new ones that are out now?
Sure, either one.
Oh, Meryl Streep, I really think she's a great actress. And I liked Katharine Hepburn. And very serious, Tom Hanks, you know, he's just wonderful. Gary Cooper was another good actor.
And you kind of talked to us about how the Adams Theater, when you worked there, was kind of this hot spot for kids your age to go, and it was like a nice stimulation to the community. So what do you think will be key in the success of the revival of the Adams Theater, and how can it kind of provide that type of community nowadays?
Yina's doing a wonderful job. I'm so happy that we have someone that wants to do this. If I were younger. And but she's on the right track, and I really do think there's so much to say for a lot of young people today, and we got to start seeing more of it and encouraging it. And I thank you.